I think David Firth is very good at what he does and deserves more recognition. And a lot of people don't talk about him other than a few pieces of his work. And I don't think that's fair because usually the pieces they talk about are ones that he did a long time ago, and there's no possible way that can be his best work. Well, he started at about 2002. That's when he first started uploading. And he did, his earlier work was more comedic, and it slowly got, evolved more. Well, it was always super surreal, but it slowly evolved to more political pieces and more different genres of animation. It also his art style and the way he animated evolved quite a bit. This piece of animation basically popularized Flash animation, animation on the internet, David Firth, and Newgrounds. Which is why I have a deep appreciation for David Firth, because with one thing he made all of this stuff super popular. Like, Newgrounds is still up, and a ton of people still go to it. And there's there's everything. Everybody, that's where people upload their stuff. And it wasn't solely David Firth who did this, but he was one of the people who were known for being on Newgrounds and what people would go see. Salad Figures lasted until 2013. It started in 2004, I believe. You can't really describe it. It's just this guy. It's quite non-threatening and naive, just walking around this post-apocalyptic wasteland. A lot of themes were of war, and also of France, and that kind of tied into the themes of war. And also of the fear of parenthood. So a lot of people have speculated what the whole story arc means. They've decided that Salad Fingers was supposed to be deployed in the First World War, because they keep making reference to the Great War, which is what the British called the First World War before the Second World War happened. And this is like a dystopian past where something went wrong and there was like a nuclear thing instead of what actually happened in World War I. Nobody's seen this kind of stuff before. This is dark British humor brought over to an American audience. Nope, this just hadn't been done before. It's relatable. It's basically David Firth was feeling really, really sad. Probably because depression, bless his heart. And so he basically made a little short animation detailing what depression is, and it's spot on. Like, it's very simple to comprehend, so if you ever need to show someone how you really feel, show them that. You can put that into words better than I think anybody else ever could.
Cool. There, first off.
Okay. That was a bit of a spite project. David Firth's mentality, I don't think fares well with people constantly annoying him with the same question over and over and over. He's very blunt and very to the point. So he has his email up on his website, so what people would probably be doing is sending him the exact same question, like more than 100 people said to him the same question over and over of saying, hey, what's the deeper meaning with this? And there wouldn't be one? Like, David Firth never does something for no reason. There is always a reason, but sometimes there's not deeper meaning. There's no political views. He made this to kind of mess with the people who would constantly overanalyze his stuff. And basically, the men from up the stairs is a metaphor for pooping, and so it would drive people absolutely nuts that that's the meaning, because it is. Bless his heart, he was doing his best. It's kind of, this one was kind of like a parody of fads. It was about all these people, everybody had the latest model, and it was of nuclear weapons to kind of like show that these fad items they have the importance of a nuclear weapon to some people. So people were constantly trying to get the latest model, and basically your place in society was determined by what model you had. Like, people would hang out with you if you had the latest model, but if you have an older model, people would hate you and tell people to not be your friend, like it is in real life. And then, so this, it kind of goes with that theme for a bit. And then there's this one kid who was being bullied, so he nuked his bully's house. And so school was like, we're banning these. And it kind of reminded me of how in school, in elementary school, there'd be a fad. A couple weeks later, somebody would do something stupid with the fad, and it'd be gone for everyone. Like, I remember Beyblades got banned because one of the kids brought this massive arena in. And so these two kids were like doing their Beyblades, and they were spinning around, and then one kid like stuck his hand in it, and it just demolished his hand. So no more Beyblades. Dog Man was made in 2008, and it's kind of about the need for a large social group. Everybody thinks that, oh, if I have more friends, then I'll be happier. But that's not the case. You really need, like, one good friend, and that's what happens in the story. This guy is really sad. He's looking at his plant. And his plant, as his dog puts it, has friendly growths. He's like, because he hooks his dog up to this machine and makes him talk when he needs advice. So the dog's like, this plant has friendly growths. You need some too. So they go to the store and they buy some tumors. and he plants the tumors in his skin. Because the dog said, oh yeah, this will make you happy. Because the dog's being a friend. The dog is being a lad. So he plants the tumors in his body, and the tumors start growing, and he's happy. For a bit. The tumors grow even larger than he is, and then he's sad, and he's dying, and that kind of represents toxic friends, because that's what it feels like. If you have a bad friend, it like sucks the life out of you. So then the dog's like, you're gonna die. I'll sacrifice my body for you. So he does. And so the man's walking around with the dog's body now. It's a commentary on how the people who decide what's controversial and what should be banned are utter idiots. And it's true. What happens is there's these kids, they're in a hallway of a school, and they're like, hey, this guy smells funny. He smells like petrol. And then all of a sudden, this other kid comes running in he's like, I know this is a stupid and reckless idea, but I'm gonna light a sprinkler in here. And he starts waving it in the other guy's face, and he knocks it out of his hands, and it hits the kid that smells funny, and he lights on fire. So the kid goes to the principal's office, and the principal's like, you are in big trouble, and also I'm calling the people and telling them they gotta ban this commercial because you are obviously being influenced by it. And the kid's like, I've never seen this commercial before in my life. So then it goes to the place where they ban things, and they're like, okay, let's ban this advertisement. Did it do anything? They're like, nope, it didn't do anything. Crime is still up. So then they're like, let's ban all advertisements. And then that doesn't work. So they're like, maybe we should ban television in general? So they do. Then they check in, and crimes went up because they checked into this random household of the everyday American. And they listen into this couple's conversation, and they're like, we're bored. Let's mass murder. Because we don't have our television anymore. We can't sit and watch TV. Let's go on a rampage. So, in response to that, the organization decides to ban everything. So they do. And they're like, okay, let's check in to what we did for the world. And they're like, we can't. We banned the machinery we used to monitor this. So they sit at their table, this big board table, and reminisce of what the world probably looks like now that they banned everything. Sock. That's probably my favorite of the David Firth series. It's a series that's inspired by dreams. Like, just in general, not necessarily that David Firth has had, but I'm sure, knowing him, that's probably a big influence. So there's different styles of dreams. There's ones that, like the first one, the main guy was aware that he was in a dream, but he still couldn't get out of it. And then another one, everything seemed really weird, but it was all sort of connected, and it would bounce back between things, which is structured very much like a dream. He did it very well. And the last one is the same, but that Sock 5 is probably my favorite of David Firth's work. That was the first time he started using the art style that he has currently, where he takes pictures and like puts them together into animation, and it looks really cool. It's really, really pretty. David Firth Health Reminders is a commentary on the healthcare system. Personally, I have not had experience with bad healthcare because we are in this beautiful country of Canada, and we got free stuff. So we're having a good old time. But over in the other places, they seem to have pretty bad healthcare systems. And David Firth made a commentary on this, on things like your doctors might not necessarily have your best interest at heart. Because a while back, I watched this piece by John Oliver about marketing to doctors, and it kind of showed you why doctors will prescribe to you their certain medication, and it's because the people who make the medication buy fancy dinners. I'm not kidding. And doctors will get paid a bunch of money to push medication, and they don't even know if it works. And it probably doesn't. But it's easy money. And people just blindly trust doctors because they think that they do have their best interests at heart, and they trust them because they probably know more than them. They went to school for this. The people who tell the doctors what medication to buy didn't. Um, so it also plays into, there's this one part where the doctor in the series is like, look at this room we lit really darkly. Doesn't it make you sad? And then next cut was, look at this scene of happy patients that we've had with a bright filter put over it. And it kind of reminded me of advertisements for medication and how you see people just going through awful times and then all of a sudden they get this pill into them, they're playing with their grandkids, they don't want to kill themselves anymore, they're having a good old time, all because of this medication. But not really. So you're not even allowed to advertise things like antidepressants. These are things to like help the medication you're already on. Did they say that? No. Cream. It is a commentary on why we can't have nice things. It's because people are greedy. It's about this guy, and he invents this thing called cream, which basically, due to science, fixes literally anything that's broken. Like, even just general, nondescript things. Like, ugliness, or just the fact you don't have a gold necklace on. It'll fix it. So, there's Scream, or Creep, Cream, it'll like self-duplicate, they'll never run out of it, fixes everything, everybody's happy, healthy, they solved famine, they solved war. That renders money obsolete. So all the people who are in power, and were already having a good old time with their money, and were very happy with their sense of power, call in, and they all just simply say, no. What happens then is a bunch of slanderous news articles on Cream and the creator of Cream happen, and they say, guy who made Cream is a serial rapist, he uses dead babies in Cream, Cream gives you 3 different types of AIDS, and so Cream gets banned. The news hasn't happened yet is a commentary on how the news, the mainstream media, doesn't know what they're doing. They will say something, then immediately say the exact opposite. They say different things from what other news stations are saying, and it just makes no sense. So what David Firth did was took this idea, but then made the news stories super ridiculous, so it kind of points out more what's going on. David Firth just takes clips of like people and news interviews and just slaps his face on it, and it's great. Cuso is a 2017 movie that premiered at Sundance last summer, and it was co-written, voice acted in, and certain parts are animated by David Firth. The movie is kind of a horror, comedy, sci-fi anthology, and there's a lot of, it doesn't just take one part and play it, take the next part and play it, it's all mixed together, and at the start of the movie I didn't realize it even was an anthology. Before I even started watching it, I didn't even know it had a storyline. I thought it was, because all I was seeing were clips of David Firth's work in it, so I thought it was all this. There's a lot of themes of certain taboo subjects being taken too lightly in society, like sexual assault and rape, and I think there's this one part where this kid was being picked on because they were black. It's not heavy heavy into this, and if you're not paying much attention, you could think, oh, they're just joking about these subjects, but I think they're really saying something about them. And by playing them up to this degree is kind of showing that we're basically doing the same thing in real life. In one of the segments, there's this girl, her name is B, and she lives with two interdimensional creatures that murdered all her friends and family, that basically kidnapped her. But it's okay because they're chill. They sit and they smoke and they watch movies, and it's quite funny. They're basically making fun of their target audience, but it's chill because they'll probably find it funny. They're like, oh, that's me. So anyway, we find out that she's pregnant. And then we find out she's pregnant by a guy she had a one night stand with. And you know they play up that whole trope of, oh no, what she's gonna do? She had this one night stand with this weird creepy guy. Now she's pregnant. Oh no. Except it wasn't actually a one night stand. She was blackout drunk and he raped her. It's a commentary on how we treat that sort of situation, and we victim blame, and we try to make it not as big a deal as it is. You look at the state of basically everything in America right now, every single higher up is a rapist. Or at least David Firth, I recognize this was his doing. He took a bunch of clips from game shows and kind of in the vein of the news hasn't happened yet, put his face over it and made the answers really ridiculous. And I think that kind of talks about how that is kind of what game shows are nowadays. Like, you look at that one meme about Family Feud where somebody's like, penis, that's my answer. And then they get the, and then it was on the board. Oh! It was the number one answer. I like Family Feud though, it's funny. It's all the same, but it's the funny all the same. And then in the medical commercial, it was kind of like the same commentary as a David Firth's Health Reminders. You'll see a lot of themes with David Firth, a lot of comedies, they'll overlap, and I'm guessing that's probably just because he cares about them a lot. You know, David Firth is a gentle lad. He's doing his best, and he's doing a real good job. He is very important in society nowadays. We wouldn't have so many people doing what they love if it wasn't for him. So many people are inspired by him. And I think he really needs more recognition, because people only know him for like one or two things. But it's not fair, considering somebody's been animating since I've been alive. They've been doing good for that long. There hasn't been, as much as he would like to argue that there hasn't really been a drop in quality. I want to see him maybe not be so hard on himself. If him being hard on himself is what's keeping him motivated, then I guess. But he's doing a real good job, but I hope that he can recognize that in himself.